Hi, I'm Ed, and today I'm going to go ahead and show how I added an amateur radio station to a Mallard M185 camper. So this is a neat little radio that I added into this, and what I discovered is during the process of kind of looking around and kind of understanding what was actually in the trailer, there was this goofy little cubby here that didn't really seem to like to really go anywhere. And so I did some more digging, and I'll actually show you how to actually access this and actually get into here. But I basically added an amateur radio to this, and then I 3D printed a faceplate. So actually after I cut it out and then drop this in, and then so now I can actually use this to actually communicate with FRS, GMRS, or get an amateur radio repeaters and all kinds of stuff. I am an amateur radio operator, so I do have licensing to be able to do all this stuff. But you get the general idea to be able to communicate and be able to reach out with people and make it really easy to be able to utilize, especially while boondocking, to be able to communicate with everybody. So if you even have another one of these radios like inside one of the vehicles, for example, in camp and stuff like that, or even kids running around on the walkie-talkies, having something like this is incredibly handy. So I'll go ahead and show you how I did the install. Okay, so just a quick little breakdown. This particular radio that I put in, this is like a $65 radio that I got off of Amazon. This is a QTY. If you're familiar with some of the other Chinese radios, very similar to the BaoFeng. This is a KT8900, and what it comes with, it does come with some of the brackets and stuff like that, so you can do a mobile mount, but I'm obviously not using that. And basically, I just kind of set this aside. I did just grab the screws that came with it, and then what I did was I basically did a design for this 3D print. I'll also make those a link available, so if anybody has a 3D printer and they want to go ahead and print these, or if you're interested, I can even I can also make these print these and send these to anybody else that is interested in this as well. And I can also size it for a different type of radio if you guys need. This particular radio also comes with a USB cord, and so I just use a program called Chirp, C-H-I-R-P, no, C-H-I-R-P, and then basically it plugs into USB, and then I can program in all the frequencies, and it makes it really easy to be able to just bash them all in, so I don't have to really worry too much about that in regards to programming all the frequencies in here. But I got the FRS, MERS, and then some of the amateur radio repeaters in here as well, so that way I can get in and kind of work with this however I want to. Makes it really easy to work on. Okay, so the actual install, this little thing right here, it's like, well, what is this space and why is it even here? And it's kind of this little nook and cranny that really, why is it there? So what I do is I found this, basically I just grabbed a screw with this little head, basically kind of pushed it down in here into the corner like this, down here in the edge, and then I just turn it like this, and what I do is I just reach in here and grab it with a pair of pliers, and I can just pull, and then the whole thing pops loose. The reason why this works is because it's only held on with one staple, and the staple's on this side. So once you get this popped, it's just basically a little bit of leverage. The thing pops loose, and then that piece up there kind of holds it in place. It's kind of weird. And then just kind of fold it down. Well, not fold it, but just kind of pull it down. And then there we go. Now, back inside here, you have the radio, and then so basically what I do is on the actual print, so the top of this is where the speaker is for the actual radio. I 3D printed this basically little pyramid up here on the top, so that way it takes all the sound and basically funnels it forwards, so that way all the sound actually comes out forwards of this, so it makes it really easy to hear and understand. It actually does a pretty good job of it too. So the reason why this is up here is because this little power junction box actually does the power for the air conditioner unit, and so this hole is already there, and it brings power up to this. It just sits here, and then it basically is a patch point, and then the power goes up right here, and then basically it follows along up in the ceiling, and then it kind of cuts over, and then it goes into the air conditioner unit. So I just kind of leverage that and use that kind of point to run some power cables down, and basically spliced in and used the available fuse point, and so now I have a dedicated fuse point for the radio, powering that. As far as the antenna goes, they already had that cut out right there, so all I really did was I basically just punctured a hole right there for going up, and then I'll actually go up and show you how I sealed it so that way I can have the coax. I have 2 antennas up there because I figure if I already had a hole before I sealed it, may as well put a second antenna up there as a backup. So one of the things I also have in here is an SWR meter, so it'd be a really good idea to make sure that your antenna is properly tuned. So make sure that the antenna isn't totally goofed up. You want to make sure you have the lowest SWR possible whenever you can. While I was testing this, I actually took my antenna and I actually put it on top of a vehicle while I was testing it to make sure that the ground plane that I was creating on the top of the RV was actually good. So basically making sure that the antenna was a known good before I moved it up onto the top and then tested it out with this. And I'll put a link down below for the SWR meter as well. But you gotta make sure that it also supports the frequencies that you're using it on. All right, and I'll go ahead and show you the top side. Okay, so this is the top penetration point of where the antenna coax cable comes up. So this is a neat little unit. This is actually designed for a satellite dish, but the way it happens is the coax cable is allowed to kind of come up and kind of bend, so that way you don't have to actually have a hard kink, and then it comes out right here. It has enough room on here for multiple cables if you so desire to do that. And then what I did was I just went to the hardware store and got a big piece of sheet metal. Well, not super big, but basically about the size of a sheet of paper. And then I spray painted it with white, and then only on one side. And then what I did was basically put it up here and basically just used Dicor to basically seal it to the roof. Basically just pushed it on here. This basically creates a ground plane. These are magnet mount antennas. The reason why I'm using magnet mount is because in the event that I use something that's really big or tall or something like that, basically it'll just get knocked loose. It'll just fall right over. No big deal. And then I just put it back. So this creates a good enough of a ground plane for these guys to actually work and function. And then I have 2 of them up here. This is another mount that I happen to have with another antenna that I use for the FRS frequencies. This is pretty good, but it's good to have this type of a mount. This is an NMO mount style because what you can do is if you have this nice good mount like this, you can just unscrew this and then just change the actual antenna. And then you can get a bigger, higher gain antenna, and then you can also adjust it if you need to. And then you can just put it back on there, no problem. And then again, if something actually hits it, it'll just knock it over. Something to also keep in mind, the other reason why you want to make sure you have a good SWR meter to test this out with is because a lot of these antennas that you get from Amazon, they get a first design, they get it all done, and then they outsource it, and then Chinese manufacturing, they put it in a box, they don't test every single one, so they don't tune every single one. So what happens is they just basically, they get a general estimate and they send it out, and then it's up to you. So what you have to do is you have to trim it and tune it yourself. So this is a really good antenna because it's a 5/8 wave antenna for FRS GMRS. It also works great on the 440 on the top band. It also works good on 2 meters, but it's a 5/8 wave on the FRS band, and so which means most of the signal actually goes out to the side. It doesn't lose signal by going up. So it's a really good use of the 25 watt radio that's down below. And this is it. This is my amateur radio station on a Mallard M185.